Welcome to Ukulele Class with Pete McCarty, put on by Memphis Public Libraries. We appreciate you guys coming. This class is being recorded and it will be up on YouTube in a week or two, hopefully a week. Next week we're having a sing-along, so be sure to check the library's website or the Benjamin L. Hooks Facebook page so you can get the details and the link for that. And then coming up the week after that, we'll be doing some workshops for a couple more weeks. And then hopefully we can have Pete come back and do another sing-along or two at the very end of the series. So stay tuned to the Facebook page and or our website. And I am going to mute and let Pete take it away. Thanks for coming, everyone.
Thank you, Miss Sue. Hey, howdy, hey, this is me. So I don't have to say this is Pete. I think you know who it is. Hello, everybody. Good to see your faces on here. I love seeing your faces. We're going to talk about something that you may think comes second nature, but for a lot of people, it really doesn't. And one of the things that I've learned through the years is I have learned that some people that have a hard time walking and chewing and playing gum, people walking and chewing and things like that, they also have a hard time in syncing up their music with their ukulele playing. I mean, there's a lot of people that tell you they don't have rhythm. I don't have rhythm. And so I have put a few methods together that work for me, and I'm going to try to teach you a few of them just to try to give you a little bit of feel. The first two sessions that we had, we talked about strumming the ukulele. We talked about a strumming pattern that I use specifically, and we talked about the position and the way to hold your ukulele. And one of the things that I like to do, I just want to reiterate a little bit, just so everybody kind of gets it fresh on their minds, that you want to keep that ukulele. You want to, if you can have a strap, you want to have a strap. You want to keep it at about a 30-degree angle to your body so your hand is comfortably like this. When you strum, you might want to relax your hand a little bit and strum with the index finger nail down. Just a strum. Just to kind of touch on it. And then the type of strum that I showed you was called a bum ditty. That bum ditty works for any song that you want to use it on. All these people that have strumming patterns and things like that out there, the wonderful teachers that teach you, they're wonderful. Those strumming patterns are absolutely wonderful, and they help you get through a song. They teach you rhythm. They help you take a particular song and get the sound that you want. So I don't discredit those. I'm just offering you another pattern. So I also encourage you to create your own strumming patterns. Be your own mind. Figure out what you can figure out about a song. Strum it the way you want to strum it. Now, let's talk about songs for a minute. All songs in the world have a pattern, have a rhythm, have some form of syncopation to them. The first song that we're going to pull up, Miss Susan, if you can do that for me. The first song we're going to pull up is called the Crawdad Song. Now, some of you may not know this song. So before I ever strum it, that's my dog, by the way. She's saying hello. Must be somebody outside, and we're fixing to enjoy this. Anyway, I'm sorry, everybody. I have no control over this. Okay. All songs have a certain syncopation to them. This song, you may not know the rhythm to the song. You may have never heard this song before. One of the things that I always suggest somebody, if you have a song that you've never played before, you can look any song up these days. I don't care if it goes all the way back to the 1920s. You can take a song, you can look it up, and you can hear how they do it, and then you can make up your own mind about how you want to do it. But that aside, syncing up your strumming and your singing together are actually very simple, but I actually do things that some people may consider odd. I know you're laughing right now because a lot of things I do, I'm sure people consider odd, but okay. When I initially do a song and I initially start out with a song, I don't play ukulele with it. Initially, what I do is I go over it in my head and I also go over it slow. Does that make sense? And I'll tell you why. I'm going to break this down for you how I do it, and then we're going to talk about how I actually start strumming it. If I get a song initially, the Crawdad Song, it's an easy song. It's only like 3 or 4 chords, but it has a rhythm to it that I like. And once in your head, you can actually feel the rhythm. And there's another way too. We talked about this in the very beginning when we talked about strumming. And I talked about the fact that you're taking your hand, and this is actually your rhythm. And when I start thinking about a song, I try to feel the rhythm of the song before I ever play it. And I feel it in my head. Okay. And then once I do that, I take my hand and I'm making this motion. Now, does that motion look familiar? It's actually strumming. But I do this. And I'm going to sing for you so you'll understand what I mean. So I'm just taking a song, I'm looking at it, I'm getting a feel in my head. You know that little voice in your head that tells you shouldn't have that last donut that I always ignore? But there's always that voice in your head that talks to you all the time. That voice in your head does a really good job at singing songs for you, doesn't it? I mean, in your head, you have the most beautiful voice in the world, don't you? It may not come out here, but in your head, it's the most beautiful voice. So if you start doing this and you get the rhythm and you start singing it and you start going, you get a line, I get a pole, honey. You're keeping that rhythm. You can even clap your hand. You get a line, I get a pole, babe, right? You get a line, I get a pole. We'll go down to the crawdad hole. Honey, baby mine. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to do this with me. Now, I know we're a little out of sync. For you, it sounds great. And I want you to sing it with me. Now, I don't care who's in your house with you. We're going to annoy the crap out of somebody. So let's have some fun with it. Sing as loud as you can, okay? Because they're sitting over there watching TV right now going, why is he singing so loud? So let's do this. Now this, the hand that you clap with has to be your strumming hand, okay? Not your chord hand, your strumming hand. Here we go. Now let's do it again. You get a line, I get a pole, honey. Now you have to feel the rhythm. You get a line, I get a pole, babe. You get a line, I get a pole. We'll go down to the crawdad hole. Honey, baby mine. Now, I want you to pick it up just a little bit. Now feel it. You got to feel it all the way from inside. Do the second verse. Here come a man with a pack on his back. Honey, you feel it? Here come a man with a pack on his back, babe. Here come a man with a pack on his back, all them crawdads in that sack. Honey, baby mine. Now, everybody okay? I know it's nothing dramatic. I know that. It's nothing dramatic. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to tell you how to build a song from the very beginning. You don't even play the ukulele to begin with. You take a song, you try to figure out the syncopation to it. You try to figure out what the rhythm actually, and then as you're singing, you're actually figuring out, when you're doing this, you're figuring out what your strumming pattern is going to be or your strum is going to be. If I was to take that and I've got that same hand like this, now we're doing this. Same thing. You're doing the same motion, but you're now working on a ukulele and you've got a chord. You get a line, I get a pole, honey. You get a line, I get a pole, babe. Keep it simple. You get a line, I get a pole. We'll go down to the crawdad hole, honey, baby mine. Now, all that works together. And then you start, once you've got to that point where and believe it or not, I do this every single time with every single song that I do. I know you think I've been doing this for so long, I can just pick something up and I can play it. Well, I can't. I like to break everything down. I like to get to the heart of it and then figure out where I personally want to go. Now, this one is the one where we're going to talk about a bum diddy strum. And a bum diddy strum, like we talked about last week, a bum diddy strum is you actually make the sound bum dit t. And it's the same thing as a banjo strum, where you have a banjo strum where they're doing a little hit at the top and they're going boom. But what they're doing is they're throwing their thumb in there and doing that little claw hammer. But you're using your finger and you're going hit, down, up, hit, down, up, hit. So I'm going to make a C. Hit, down, up, hit, down, up, hit, down. I'm going slow. You get a line, I get a pole, honey. Hear it? You get a line, I get a pole, babe. You get a line, I get a pole. We'll go down to the crawdad hole, honey, baby mine. Now I do that with all my songs. Now this particular one, I'm going to speed it up a little bit, and I'm going to show you I do it a little bit different than that. It's the same strum. Get down, get down. Same thing, just a little faster. Before I get into this, any of you have a question out there? I don't mind answering any questions. I know it seems a little foolish. You might have to unmute, Mr. Joe. You might have to unmute, Mr. Joe. There should be a little mute.
Okay.
There you go. Howdy.
Hey, what is syncopation?
Okay, syncopation is a rhythm, and it's the way a rhythm flows through a song. So when somebody tells you I've got a syncopated rhythm or it's synced up, it means that everything comes together in syncopation. And also you can have where they tell you something syncopated, it's got a real odd kind of, but maybe I'll stop using the word syncopation. Anybody else? That's what we're here for. Wow. Okay. You might want to hit your mute back there, Mr. Joe. Okay. So, and one thing about syncopation, you hear it more when people talk about rhythms. When they say a rhythm is syncopated, it means it's got this little odd little beat to it and things like that. But if you've ever heard somebody say, hey, everything's in sync, it means everything's flowing together perfectly. It's in sync. So here's the different little strum. Same strum. And I'll tell you something else too. Do not be afraid ever to take your fingers off the fretboard and make a different sound. So it's hit down, hit down, hit down. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2. Here we go. You're gonna put. There we go. Thank you, Miss Sue. Here we go. 1, 2. Sing with me. You get a line, I'll get a pole, honey. Get down, get down, get down. You get a line, I'll get a pole, babe. Get down, get down. We get a line, I'll get a pole. We go down to the crawdad hole, honey, baby mine. Here come a man with a pack on his back, honey. Here come a man with a pack on his back, baby. Here come a man with a pack on his back. Look at them crawdads in that sack, honey, baby mine. Now, you don't have to, and here's the thing too. So if you want to be creative, you want to do something, would you leave the music up for me, Miss Sue, please? You want to be creative. You want to do something different than anybody else is doing. You have every liberty to do that. You are now professionals. You are now all artistes, and you can make any song, anything you want it to be. And if that's the case, you can take this song and you can do you can do a little bit different. Excuse me, just a second. You can do things just a little bit differently, and I'm going to show you something here. Keeps sounding like something is off on there. There you are. Okay. Now, so you want to do something just a little differently. You want to get in there, you want to kind of do something, just kind of take the song and make it yours. You have sat there and you sang it to yourself. You've got a flow and a rhythm, and you're trying to get everything to line up. I did really good, didn't I, Joe? Everything to line up the way you want it to. And if you get everything to line up the way you want it to, then you can change things around. And playing the ukulele along with singing, you can actually make it something completely different. And I don't know how many of you were here when I was first just kind of goofing around. So what I'm doing is I'm finger picking, and I'm doing something totally just like something like I normally wouldn't do. I normally do like a, right? But right now I'm just kind of picking the outside strings and the inside strings. See that? Just something different. And then I said, well, okay, so the normal flow of the song is you get a line, I'll get a pole, honey. Now what if I slowed that down and did something a little jazzier, a little different? Well, you get a line, I'll get a pole, honey. You get a line, I'll get a pole, babe. You get a line, I'll get a pole. We'll go down that crawdad hole, honey, baby mine. Now you can speed it up, do the finger picking. Here comes a man with a pack on his back, honey. Here comes a man with a pack on his back, babe. Here comes a man with a pack on his back. Well, look at them crawdads in that sack, honey, baby mine. Now, see, you have creative liberty. You can do whatever you want with that song. Make it yours. Have fun with it. And there is no right or wrong. Oh, the man fell back and he broke his sack, honey. Man fell down and broke his sack, babe. Man fell down and broke his sack. Well, look at them crawdads back and back there, honey, baby mine. Now do this. Now look here. You see what I just did? I've got the rhythm of the song. I got it the way I'm going to play it. I got that song. And what I'm going to do is I am now going to totally not play anything, but I'm going to put my hand over the fretboard and I'm muting everything. Well, it just adds something different to the song. You're being creative. Well, Miss Susan, you just popped right in there. Hello, Miss Susan. Hello.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
That's why I popped in so you would see me. When I'm really intrigued about whenever you lift the fingers off, and so you were showing on the C chord that you lifted and I love how that sounds, and I play with that a little. So like the G7, would you lift the whole thing off, or would you how do you know which finger to lift off, or how do you?
Okay. This is going to sound like I'm being a little bit of a smarty pants, but I'm really not. What do you like? And the reason is because there are different sounds for everybody. So you play a G7 right now, and I want you to strum a G7, and I want you to try lifting all of them off and putting them back on, and tell me how it sounds. You don't have to mute. Let me hear. Let me just play and let me hear. So let me teach you something real quick on being creative with that kind of thing. Okay. So what you're going to do in the instance like when I'm playing, I don't leave it off for a whole beat. I'm giving it like a little bit of a hammer-on effect. So I'm going. So I'm lifting it up between beats. So I'm doing like an upbeat on there. Does that make sense? So even when I was doing the C, so if you leave it there too long, you're going to change the sound of your song. So in other words, if I was, changes the feel of the song. But if you're giving, it's called articulation. If you're articulating a sound, if you're doing a hammer on or something like that, it gives a little bit different sound. And so like even when you're doing G7, now I honestly, most of the time on a G7, I lift the first finger that's on the second string on the first fret. Just one finger. But I mean, I think it actually sounds pretty good to have them all off. It adds a little bit of dissonance to it. Adds a little bit of, like, changes the sound of the chords.
Okay.
So, but if you're doing like just a standard G, see how I lift that first finger? I go. Just change it up a little bit and see what you think. What it comes down to is what it sounds good to you. Through the years, like on a D, when I play a D, I lift that. So if I play a D, it's kind of a weird, Pete plays a weird shaped D, but I'm an old guitar player, and that's how I've played it for years when I would play an A. But so imagine you've got everybody just kind of be patient with it. Imagine you're playing a G7. That G7 is on that first, second, if you count the strings from the floor, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you take that shape, you're looking at that triangle shape, and you move it up to the second, third, and fourth string, right? Second, third, and fourth string. Same shape, which is an F sharp minor. Then you take this index finger that's right here, and you gently push it over into the second fret. You now have a D. And the reason I do that is because some people teach you to play a D where you've got your whole hand stretched out like this. Then you have to rotate your hand to make other chords. If you make the D shape the way I'm telling you, F sharp minor, take that third string, first fret, and move it over into the second fret. Just gently tuck it over in between the two. Relax and do it. When you go to A, all you're doing is moving one finger. Now, then you make an F, you're only moving one finger. It's just a different way to do it. But when I do that index finger right there, I will lift my third finger on the second string of that for the D. So it's really cool to do, and it's really fun to do. And people have this stigma. There's like, when they first start playing, they feel like that they have to take their fingers and they have to press as hard as they possibly can on the fretboard to get a clear sound. In reality, you really don't have to push that hard. And then what they don't realize is they're afraid to take, once they've done that and they literally embedded their fingers into the fretboard because they want it to be perfect. They don't realize that if you relax your hand a little bit and lift your hand up off the fretboard, you can actually make different sounds. And we were talking about syncopation earlier. If you're doing that, you're throwing that little bit of a rhythm in there. Now on the A, I lift them both off. I like the sound. So that's what I'm doing.
Hey, Pete.
So let's talk about.
We have a question.
Yes.
We have a question in the chat from Donna R. She wants to know, how do you find the beginning note to start singing the song?
Okay.
That's a good question.
That is a great question. And I don't know how many of you out there want, and I'm going to put in a little plug for somebody. Jim Beloff's book, everybody calls it it's the Daily Ukulele. One of the things I love about his book is that he takes the time to tell you what your first singing note is. And that is the most helpful thing in the world, is know what your first singing note is. So on this particular chord, for me, it would be the E string. You get in line, I get on. But in my particular songs, I don't have that starting note. And the easiest way to find it is to listen to the melody line. And it's actually, I probably should take the time to put a little picture of a fret down there and say, this is your starting note. I should probably do that. Because it's not always, like if I go to the one page over and it's Cover the Rolling Stone and I say, well, hill where big rock. I mean, if you haven't heard the song, where do you start, right? So you got me on that one because I don't have a definite answer for you other than I've been doing the song so long. I know what it is. But what I would do is if I was going to start a song and we're talking about coming up and learning the song and creating it for yourself, that's the first thing I would do is when I started it, I would go through I would sing it to myself and I would find that note on the fretboard. And it just happens to be an E, an open E. You get a line, I get a pole, honey. So that probably was not very helpful. I apologize. Y'all want to do a different song? We've got plenty of time. Shall we change songs for a minute so we can talk about a different song? Sue, is that okay?
Your class, that works for me. Just tell me what song so I can find it.
Okay, I want to go. I'm trying to keep it. I'm trying to keep simple songs. I'm trying to do simple ones, so it's not too hard. And one of the things I was thinking of was maybe a different little type of song, little 3-chord song. And I thought I could just go over here. Okay, so the song is "Don't It Make You Want to Go Home," and Sue, that is page 82. If you just want to skim over to that. Now, this is a slow song, and if you've never done this song before, we're going to break it down. We're going to figure out how to sing it, how to play it, and let's see. So the actual singing starting note on this one is going to be a D. Don't it make you want to go home now? Don't it make you want to go home? Now, this is a totally different song. And the way that it's formatted, the way that it's presented, it's actually a slow singing song. It has a different type of a strum to it. You can finger pick it. You can do whatever you want. But remember, any song that you get, you can make it whatever you want it to be. And I hate to keep talking about this, but I grew up a guitar player. I grew up a guitar player.
Wait a minute, Pete. Wait a minute. You said you grew up.
Well, that's true too. If you want to hold me to that.
Yeah, you and I didn't quite grow up, you know what I mean?
Cheers, Sue.
Yeah,
That
he was a. I can vouch for that. He was a guitar player.
I was played it. That must be Johnny out there.
Yes.
Hey, Johnny. That's because you graduated with me and I played the guitar on stage.
That's right. What was the name of the song?
Time in a Bottle.
Time in the Bottle. You got great memories.
Okay, back to ukulele here.
Hey, Sue, the only reason I remember that is my teacher from 20 years after I graduated, she ran into me somewhere and she goes, "Hey, you never gave me that music back for Time in the Bottle." I still have it too, by the way.
Okay, Sue, that's enough reunion.
Mr. John. So the song we're going to do is "Don't It Make You Want to Go Home," and you can make it any way you want. And I'm going to show you a few things. We're going to start off the same way, and that strumming hand that you have, we're going to sit here, we're going to talk about it. I'm going to break it down the same way. And I want you to think about the songs you sing, and I just want all you're doing is you're finding a pattern. And you think, well, the song sounds like this. And if you've never heard it before, let me sing the first verse for you. Don't it make you want to go home now? Don't it make you want to go home? All God's children get weary when they roam. Don't it make you want to go home? Don't it make you want to go home? Now that's kind of how it goes. And you can, once you've done that, you got to think about, what am I going to do with my strum on this? Now this is a little bit different, different pattern. Same thing. Bum, diddy, bum. Now, this is what I'm doing. I like to do on this one. I like to take that fingernail And I like to accent on each string. I want you to hear each string on this drum. Same thing, still bum, ditty, right? But I'm kind of changing the way I'm approaching it. And what I'm doing is I'm just gracefully going across the top of all strings. Hear it? Don't it make you wanna go home now? Don't it make you wanna go home? All God's children get weary when they roam. Don't it make you wanna go home? Don't it make you wanna go home? Now, let's talk about it for a second while it's in your strumming. Do you hear, Susan, do you hear where I'm lifting up the string on that one? I'm lifting that third finger on that D. Hear it? Just a little bit of an accent. And when I go to the G, all right, music for me, Susan, please. Here we go. Now, I'm also going to throw in where I just go up and down. I'll tell you when. Here we go. Don't it make you want to go home now? Don't it make you want to go home? All God's children get weary when they roam. Don't it make you want to go home? Don't it make you want to go home? Now, one of the things I was talking about that I brought up was about me being a guitar player. And so, and with a lot of, if you're in a meeting with a lot of other guitar players and you're playing with a guitar player, one of the things that always inevitably happens is if you're in a group, and let's say you pull this particular song out, there's going to be one guitar player in the group that says, wait a minute. You're playing this in D. This was originally in Z minor 7. And inevitably it always happens. And you're like, well, the only reason it's in Z minor 7 is because that's what, Jed Clampett could sing it in. Originally it was like, E flat. And so I always have problems with someone that is very adamant about you have to keep this in the same key. Music for me personally was created for us to enjoy. And I'm going to get on my soapbox just a little bit. It was in my mind, music was created for everyone to enjoy. And if you can't sing a song because it's not in your key, does that mean that you should never sing the song because it's not being able to sing in the same key? I feel like if this was done in D, but you personally can't sing unless it's in G, then by God, you put it in G and enjoy it. And so we've always went back and forth about that, about changing chords and things like that. And that's why I say all these songs, you have creative liberties to make them what you want to be. And if you don't know how to do that, I have a little wheel that I give out for free. And it's, you take the top wheel, you put it on there. And if it's something is in D and you want it to be in G, it shows you what the chords will be. Just change it to another chord and enjoy the song. So I'm off my soapbox now. But, so let's do this. Now we're going to finger pick a little bit too. And I'm going to speed it up just a little bit. Sing it with me. Don't it make you want to go home now? Don't it make you want to go home? All God's children get weary when they roam. Don't it make you want to go home? Don't it make you want to go home? Whippoorwill roast on a telephone pole as the Tennessee sun goes down. It's been a long, long time, but I'm glad that I'm going back to my hometown. Going down to the Greyhound station, gonna buy me a one-way fare. Lord's willing and the creeks don't rise, by tomorrow I'll be right there. Don't it make you wanna go home now? Don't it make you wanna go home? All God's children get weary when they roam. Don't it make you wanna go home? Don't it make you wanna go home? Tonight it's all been about how do you take a song and you actually sing and play together, and how you take the music and make it the way you want. I didn't intend on getting into this, but I'm going to get into this just a little bit. Nashville, they call it the Nashville number system, but it's actually just the circle of fifths. If you find a song, just remember this. You can write this down if you want to, or you can, if you're taking notes out there. So your normal scale is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Just like you do in your alphabet. C, D, E, F, G, A, B. But it goes back to C. That's all the notes there are, other than there's all kinds of sharps and flats and everything. But just keep that in mind for a second. So if we're doing this song in D, all right, and you have that written down, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and somebody tells you the circle of fifths, take your hand and hold it like this. All right, now what I want you to do, see that first chord that's there? It's D, right? So this song is in D. This number right here, Mr. Thumb, is going to be D. So we said C, and then this is D, right? Start with this. D, E, F, G, and then what did I say? C, D, E, F, G, A. Now, your thumb, your fourth finger, and your fifth finger. Do you notice anything about this song? D, G, A. Do you notice that that's all the chords in this song? It's A7. That's how you come up with your notes. It's your three chords for this song. So let's say we're going to change. You can't sing it in D. You can only sing it in C. So you've written down C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So what you're going to do is that D, you're going to make that a C. That's your first note. So you can either do it one of two ways. You can either say, all right, this is C, number thumb is C, D, E, F, and G. Does that make sense? 1, 4, 5. You'll hear a musician say, hey, I'm going to start on the 4 and I'm going to go to the 1, 5. 1 would be C, the next one would be F and G. So if you were down here and you wrote this down, and hang on just a second. Let me show you something.
This is like my favorite thing. It's all I can do to sit still and not shout out the answers. And then talk about the theory and the half notes, the half steps and whole steps and the.
Oh,
But I'll
yeah.
be quiet.
But I'm just trying to keep it simple. So
I know.
So what we did was, so this particular one has D. All right, so this particular one, I've written down the scale, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, right? Or C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So this particular one has D, and then it has G, and it has A. So we can't sing it in that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write C, D, E, F, G beside it again. And we're going to go back a chord. We're going to go back a chord. Now, you can do it one of two ways. You can just go from here to there, and you can go up a chord to C. And if you do that, you say C, D, E, F, G. So you got F and G. So what I usually do is I know it goes up one. So if you do it this way, the easiest way to change your notes, you'll see that the D is now a C. You'll see that the G is now what? It's now an F, and the A is now a G. And all you have to do is go in and say, everywhere there's a D chord, put a C chord. Everywhere there's a G chord, you look on here and you go, oh, that's now an F chord. And then when you play it, don't it make you want to go home now? Don't it make you want want to go home. All God's children get weary when they roam. Don't it make you want to go home? It's not that hard. And if you remember to write down your scale and you count it out with your thumb, it's called I call it the poor man's circle of fifths. It's your 5 fingers, and the 1 and the 4 and the 5 are always your 3 chords. If you got any questions, holler at me, because like I said, not only that, I have a free wheel of transposition. I can give it to you and you can use it to change any chord that you want. But I thought it'd be kind of cool to throw that in at the moment, because we're talking about using creative license to change a song. And I'm going to do one more just for fun. Don't worry, be happy. And that is just a couple pages over to 86, Miss Sue, and that's going to be our last song for tonight. Now, how are you going to sync this song up? Now, that's it. Whistle wasn't working. All right, how are we going to sync this song up real quickly? We've talked about this. We've talked about how I actually take a song and I go through it. And this is one of those songs that's so much fun. And you start saying, well, what am I doing? Do, 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 do. Right? Do, 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 do. Ba, 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 ba. Here's a little song I wrote. You can learn it note for note. Don't worry. I'm putting emphasis on the downbeat. Here's a little song I wrote. You can learn it. No, I'm still doing the bone ditty. Same. This is actually the same exact strum I just used on the slow song. I'm speeding it up. So it's here. I'm still going over all the strings. Here's a little song I wrote. You can learn it note for note. Don't worry. Now, one of the things that's fun is let your hand hit the strings and stop them. So that's kind of a chunk, but it's not a chunk. It's just, you're actually just kind of hitting a mute for a little bit. Ooh, here's a little song I wrote. Now here I'm stopping it. Don't worry. I'll be happy. In every life we had some trouble. When you worry, you make it double. Don't worry. Oh, be happy. Don't worry, be happy. Ain't got no place to lay your head. Somebody came and took your bed. Don't worry. Oh, be happy. Landlord says your rent is late. May have to litigate. Don't worry. I'll be happy. Don't worry, be happy. Got no cash, ain't got no style. Ain't got no gold to make you smile. Don't worry, I'll be happy. You playing percussion, Johnny? 'Cause when you worry, your face will frown, and that will bring somebody down. Don't worry, I'll be happy. Worry, be happy. Do, 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 do. Ba, 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 ba. Here's a little song I wrote. You can learn it note for note. Don't worry, I'll be happy. In your life, expect some trouble. But when you worry, make it double. Don't worry, I'll be happy. Don't worry, be happy. One more time. Any questions from anybody? Anything you can think of? I know I kind of got into the circle fifths just a little bit, but I kind of wanted to show you just how easy it actually is. And it's so nice to see your face again, Susan. Thank y'all so much, everybody. It's Diane. You came out of hiding. I'm so glad to see you. Did you play the whole time, Diane? Yeah, good deal. Good deal. Remember this. If you don't remember anything else from these classes, Johnny asked me a question, and I didn't hear it last week when he was talking about it. But I'm going to reiterate it just a little bit. Remember, if you're going to do something, take it slow. Always take it so slow that you drive yourself crazy. Because when you learn it fast, you lose some things. If you take it slow to begin with, so it's just enough that it drives you crazy, and start speeding up, you'll do so much better. And Johnny asked me who that was, and I didn't. He texted me later, and we talked about it. The gentleman that taught me that, my band director, his name was Lee Marsh. And Lee Marsh had been through World War II, and as far as I know, I haven't been able to talk to him in quite a while, but I haven't heard that he's passed or anything. But we stayed friends my whole life, and he always had the best knowledge, and just loved talking to him. But that was one of the things that he taught me, was always take everything slow and keep it as simple as possible. Same thing with these songs and all the things that I've taught you. Talking about strumming and how to hold your instrument, things like that. If you don't take anything else away from this, take this one thing away. Take it slow, keep it simple, and be creative. Don't be afraid to be creative. Who cares if you don't sing the song like Frankie Sinatra sang it in the 30s? My goodness, make it your own song and take it any direction you want it to. Because I think that's what music is all about. Music is about making something your own and having fun with it. So y'all don't have any questions? You're just all sitting there smiling. You got nothing? I'm married.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I have a question. So the songs that you were doing tonight were all 4/4 time.
That's right.
So let's say you're playing a waltz.
That's right.
Can you just demonstrate your simple strumming pattern for a waltz?
Okay, so simple strumming pattern, in a sense, it actually changes just a little bit with a 3/4 time, and actually, so believe it or not, for me, I have to resort to a simple strumming pattern where it's bum diddy, but it's still bum diddy, and then I go up down up down. 3, 1, 2, 3. And then you have to envision me dancing, which is going to be kind of scary for some of you that may not know me. So just take, like, really hold on tight. But I find it easier in my head when I'm doing a 3/4 pattern to go. Because it's a waltz. One of the songs that I always do. Hang on just a second, Sue. I'm going to answer that. Oop. And those of you that know me, you know this song very well. I go slow. There's always tomorrow for dreams to come true. Believe in your dreams, come what may. There's always tomorrow with so much to do and so little time in a day. We all pretend the rainbow has an end, and you'll be there, my friend, someday. There's always tomorrow for dreams to come true. Tomorrow is not far away. We all pretend the rainbow has an end, and you'll be there, my friend, someday. There's always tomorrow for dreams to come true. Tomorrow is not far away. Tomorrow is not far away. Yay. Thank you, Sue. I saw Robin jump in here somewhere. Robin,
Very
you
nice.
for half a second, didn't you? Yes, ma'am, Miss Sue.
So don't forget next week we're doing a sing-along with Pete. And so be sure to check the library's website or the Facebook page, and we'll share all that info. And then the following week will be some kind of a workshop. I don't know yet if the workshop is going to be chucking or bar chords or jazz chords, but we have 3 workshops lined up. I just don't have them in order yet. And then, of course, we might have to convince Pete to come back and do another sing-along after you've learned how to chuck and do bar chords and jazz chords, so then you can do fancy stuff during the sing-along. Right, Pete?
Fancy. Don't forget, during that Zoom session, if you would like to be in the Zoom session, we're going to put out an address if you want to come join in and be with me face to face. But I think what I'm going to do for this sing along is I think I'm going to put out a song list to make it easier for you, so that you don't have to spend a lot of time looking through the book. You'll know what the songs are out of the book that we're going to use. So I think that'll be better. I'll just put out like maybe about 10 songs maybe.
Yeah, and Pete, if you can send me the song list, then what I'll do is I'll post that in the event listing, in the program listing.
Sure. I'll make that
Um,
next few days.
Yeah, in fact, what I might do is just download just those PDFs so people can have it as like a little sing-along book kind of thing.
Okay.
So
Okay.
just make it easier.
Thank
Awesome.
you so much, everybody. I love seeing you. Thank you for coming and having fun. And y'all take care. And I hope that all of you out there have a wonderful evening. And thank you, Robin, for turning on your camera so I can see you smile. Thank you, Miss Sue.
Thank you, everybody, for
Good
coming,
night,
and thank you,
everybody.
Pete. Yay.
Yay.